The first thing that I think is more important with the event center, or the fairgrounds as most people call it, is that we have to reach a consensus. I think that was part of the problem with the proposal that was put up in 2014, is that there was not a consensus before it was put before voters, and that's why it was defeated. So what I think needs to happen is whoever wins the race needs to work with the other commissioners, the Fair Board, other groups, economic development groups, individual citizens, anyone who has an opinion on it. Let's come up with an idea that has a lot of support and that we can find financing for. That's key as well, because there are a lot of ideas that are floating out there about the fairgrounds, but no one has a dedicated funding source for it. So you've got to reach a consensus, and then I think the funding may follow that. And whether that's whether there's any public money involved, I don't know if there's a consensus for that. You know, the last proposal went down pretty steeply. And we also would have to make sure that if the county does involve or invest any money in it, that it's put towards a good use. Could be a it could be a combination, some kind of public-private partnership. Could be some partnership with the city of Columbia or other entities. So no one has a definite plan yet. No one has a definite funding source. But I think we need to reach a consensus on that, because I'm not in favor of just selling it. I do think that it needs to be developed with the county involved in some way. But we'll just have to see what funding is available and what consensus we can reach to get there. I think you do have to keep all your options open as to what might be there. I would think that, yes, there would be some financial aspect of that that would have some funds for the county, either targeted for a certain purpose or for general purposes. You have to keep your options open. So I don't want to try and buttonhole the negotiations or try and limit what I might accept as a commissioner. I do think it's responsible to put it out for an RFP and see if anyone else besides BJC is interested in it, in running the facility. But I would say that I think overall, Boone Hospital Center is a very good hospital. I think it's run relatively well, and its employees are great. My primary physician is a doctor there. So I think you want to make sure that anything that you vote on in the future makes sure and guarantees that the employees are treated well, that they maintain their high quality of services, and that the county benefits from it as a whole. And I do think also part of it is not just the money, but to make sure that we have a corporation or whoever is in charge of the lease will provide quality medical services for the community. You want to see what their track record is, and so I think that's important too, not just the financial aspect. I think it's a very important part of the county budget and a very important part of the way we will provide services for this county. It used to be that roads and bridges were funded out of the general fund, and now we have a dedicated funding source for it. And if we would lose that revenue, we would have to make it up in the general fund. And that's something that we would not be able to keep up the level of services for maintaining our roads and bridges if we had to do that. So I'm very much in favor of reauthorizing that in 2018. I don't view it quite as bleakly as some others. There's always room for improvement, but as you noted, the county and the city already work together on a lot of things. Scott Boulevard's an example of that. They work together to have the airport guarantee money earlier. The health department is a good example where they already cooperate. So you're right. I think there are some areas where they already cooperate quite well. I think it's going to be a big change no matter who the new commissioner is, and we already have a new mayor in the city of Columbia. So I think that bodes well for kind of a resetting of the relationship on that higher level that you were talking about. One thing I think I can add to it is that I'm already a member of the city's Parks and Recreation Commission. And not just for the fairgrounds issue, which there's been some discussion about Parks and Rec having a role in that, but I already know all the council members. They voted to put me on the Parks and Rec Commission, and I think I can work with all of them. Even if you have a disagreement on an issue, you can still work together. And I think I've done that in the past as a state legislator, and I can do it again as a county commissioner.